Hello fellow Guardians, today we're going to be looking over Destiny 2 and asking the question, is it still worth it in 2019? For those of you new to the series, Destiny 2 is a first-person science fiction shooter brought to us by Bungie Games and Activision. The game is all about shooting through enemies alone or with a fire team, collecting loot and leveling up your Guardian. Now when you first start up Destiny 2, you will be asked to create a character in one of three classes, Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks, each with their own stats and abilities as well as subclasses that will change your supercharged ability. Don't stress about picking a class as you'll be able to create more. As I stated previously, there are several abilities that each character has. The first ability is a melee attack, but this sounds simple, however, it is insanely powerful, being a go-to for close range fighting. Second, we have the grenade. These can really get you out of a tough situation, however, there is a cooldown, meaning you have to wait in between uses. Finally, we have the roll, which in my opinion is completely and utterly pointless. Very rarely has it saved me, and trying to get footage of using it got me killed more than once. The other ability you may have heard me talk about earlier is the supercharged ability, which allow you to utilize new weapons you couldn't use before. These only last a few moments though. With all of these abilities, let's get into the gameplay. Speaking of weapons, let's talk about them and this game's heavily RNG loot system. In this game, as you kill enemies, there's a chance they will drop either a weapon or piece of armor. The most common weapons in the game are automatic rifles and their burst counterpart known as pulse rifles, along with revolver-like hand cannons, semi-auto rifles called scout rifles, as well as normal standard sniper rifles. There are also close-range alternatives in the form of shotguns, SMGs, as well as the fusion rifle, which, although requires a charge, packs a serious punch. Explosive rocket launchers and grenade launchers round out the list, meaning this game has a very large arsenal. There are 5 rarities of both weapons and armor. Gray is the most common and is referred to as common in the game. Green is a little bit less common, known as uncommon. Blue is where it starts to pick up, being rare. Purple is legendary, and the very rare gold exotic. As well as rarities, each piece of gear has a weapon power as well as specific perks, meaning you may want to grind to get the perfect perks on a particular weapon. The RNG loot can certainly make finding a specific weapon infuriating. However, I do feel this adds to the game as you have to experiment with new weapons as you find them. I feel the power of the weapon greatly reduces the enjoyability of the game, as you'll find a weapon before moments later having no use for it as you find a slightly higher power weapon, meaning you will have to exchange it to raise your power. And while you can power up weapons with infusion, the process is way too expensive and time consuming. Along with this, it means having to mess around in your inventory every couple of minutes to change your gear. A major part of this game is the single player campaign, which is amazing, and according to howlongtobeat.com will take around 12 hours to complete. However, with all side quests referred to as adventures in this game, as long as the miniature storylines known as quests, you can see your playtime start to grow. In the main campaign, most missions require you to talk to a certain NPC or go to a certain location to begin. After you begin, you will progress through the stage by heading to objectives marked by the gray area on the top of your compass or by accessing the ghost. Most levels are just go from point A to point B and kill monsters on the way while completing parkour segments and finally killing a boss. And although this sounds incredibly boring, I have to say, it never felt that way. Some missions I definitely liked more than others, but they were all still good. I think the platforming truly makes the game, as it is difficult compared to the rest of the game. That being said, this game is way too easy, with most enemies being killed within a matter of seconds if you shoot their heads, which is crazy easy because of their large hitboxes. But you can't take any risk, because if you don't hit the head,
you get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
Although the enemies can be way too easy, there are some pretty chaotic sequences that had me dying over and over again. The parkour can be incredibly difficult, requiring several restarts. A bit of a tip I had to learn was as you're falling, jump right before you hit the ground to seriously reduce or negate any fall damage. Overall, I will say that although the single player campaign is easy, it still manages to tell an amazing story and brought us some unforgettable characters. The next thing I want to dive into is the PvP mode Crucible. Crucible is an area to show your skills online in various game modes spread across numerous maps. While at first it seems Crucible is unfair to new players, in selected game modes, level advantage is off, meaning you have just as high of a chance as everyone else to succeed. I really like this feature as for the most part you're on level ground. However, with Destiny 2's loot system, you could say some weapons just seem better and it's horrible feeling to be destroying someone for them to pull out a shotgun and instantly kill you. However, you do receive some mild loot from playing as well as Crucible tokens which you can exchange for high level loot by talking to Lord Shax, the Crucible operator. I only have one other major complaint, and that is supercharged abilities. These charge during the match, and as long as you play fairly decent, you'll have a chance to use yours. The problem is the abilities themselves, which are overpowered, with some abilities like the Golden Gun being able to one-shot players long distance. And as you can imagine, with Destiny 2's long TTK, or time to kill, you will very rarely kill these Guardians without a teammate by your side. Although I still have some major complaints about Crucible, I love the mode, and for those of you who have been around the channel for a while, I plan to make sniping montages in it. The next mode I want to talk about is the PvE mode Vanguard. Ran by Captain Zavala himself, Vanguard sees you taking on strikes by traveling to several different maps and objectives. And while these are mainly go from point A to point B like the main story, this is my personal favorite mode of Destiny 2. Although I haven't played the nightmarishly difficult Nightfall strikes, I look forward to them. I really don't have any major complaints, but you will need a vehicle for this mode. You can buy them from the Shipmaster or acquire one for free after completing the main campaign. But I can't stress how much you need one. If you don't, your teammates will take off without you and you'll miss most, if not all parts of the strike, only getting teleported to very important fights. Overall, this mode brings us more action-packed shootouts, even better and more importantly harder than the main story. The final thing before my final words and personal rating of Destiny 2 is Gambit, the newest mode which has been mildly boosted in the Joker's Wild DLC, though I haven't tried it myself. Gambit is a mix of PvE and PvP. As you kill enemies, they will drop things, I forgot the name, that you'll have to deliver to a machine on your team's side to drop harder enemies on the opposing team, while also building up to summon the main boss. The main boss of this mode is how the game is won. As you collect orbs and deposit them, you'll build up before it eventually spawns. The first team to kill the boss wins. Gambit is very fun, however it is my least favorite as I just don't enjoy it as much as I do the others. I feel there's too much team weight required for casual gaming. Although Destiny 2 definitely has a fair share of issues, especially the single player campaign, I can't recommend it enough. It is a game that if you're like me, a fan of FPS games, you'll find this game is one of the most innovative shooters in years. Destiny definitely has the most content for your dollar, as you can get this game at an extremely low price. I got my sealed copy at GameStop with 3 major DLCs, including Forsaken, for an extremely low price. I will say, with all the hate around the game, it could be hard to spend your hard-earned cash on it, but you never know, you might like it. That is all I have to say for this review, but if you enjoyed the video, why not give it a like? Also, I am very curious about how this video affected you, so if I piqued your interest or got you to buy the game, leave a comment. Feel free to write your own reviews in the comments, and if you want to see future uploads, subscribe and turn on notifications to see upcoming DLC reviews and PvP montages. Thanks for watching. Later.